Good evening, folks. This is Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update on Sunday, January 7th, 8:33 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. Joining us tonight is our friend Albedo. Snow cover map showing snow on the ground all the way south in South Carolina here. Whew. Look at the coverage. Also take note of Lake Erie, completely ice covered. We'll be talking about that. Farmer's Almanac just released some surprising winter predictions. You're going to be buried. Great news for all you winter weather lovers. This upcoming season is going to be the beginning of the grand solar minimum. Now the Farmer's Almanac knows because they've been predicting weather for 300 years using the sun. The most trusted source in weather prediction since 1792. Heads up. Atlantic City hits a record low. Philly ties a record. Not since the year Grover Cleveland was first elected president of the United States has it been as cold as it was in Atlantic City this morning. New Jersey's gaming resort reached a new record low of -3 degrees Sunday, besting the previous record of 4 on January 7th, 1884, according to Walter Dragg, who is not a queen, but is freezing his arse off. Cold smashes more records ahead of warm-up on Monday. Magenta's not her color. To end the region's frigid cold streak may be near, but it's breaking records to the bitter end. The temperatures may climb above freezing on Monday for the first time in 13 days. That would be the third longest sub-freezing stretch ever recorded in Central Park. Overnight cold temps broke daily record lows again, including JFK Airport, where it reached 5 degrees. The previous record was 6. Bridgeport smashed the previous record of 7 with a low of -1. Whew, that's a biggie. And I'm going to give that tonight's first boom. Knowledge, I love it. Bridgeport smashed its previous record of 7 with a -1. Islip also set a new record of 2, beating its previous record of 6, and so on and so forth. Take a look at the picture. Snow could impact Monday evening commute up in Connecticut, just a dusting, but the frigid cold air continued to move through the state on Sunday as many towns saw temperatures in the -10 to -15 range without wind chill. Brrr. Meteorologist Mike Cameron said this could possibly be one of the coldest days of the year. On Sunday, Connecticut was in its 13th day of deep freeze. Sunday morning, numerous cold temperature records were broken, with Bradley recording an unofficial record low of -7. Previous low was 1. Going back to 1912, and Bridgeport recording an unofficial record low of -1. The previous record 7 back in 1912. The wind chills range from -10 to -25 in Connecticut. Blast of Arctic air records as temperatures finally set to rise. Burlington, Vermont, and Portland, Maine set records, with Burlington falling to -20, beating the 1923 record by a degree, and Portland recording -11, also a degree below the 1941 record. And that is a psychotic boom blast. Whatever that guy's doing. New England's largest ski resort, Killington, closed on Saturday, one of the biggest ski days, because it was -50. And that is a heads up. Extreme cold warning issued for most of New Brunswick. It's currently -7. Whew. An extreme cold warning has been issued for most of New Brunswick. Environment Canada is warning people to bundle up and cover exposed skin to avoid freezing your flesh off. St. Clair County communities cope with extreme cold. Ferries and freighters halted by accumulating ice. Those are icebergs, yes, stacked along the boardwalk in Algonac, closing the ferry in Walpi Island. Seems like the river froze almost overnight. Several days of near-record cold and sub-zero wind chills choked area waterways with ice, flooding some waterfront neighborhoods, blocking shipping traffic and closing down 2 area ferry services. The entire Great Lakes system is experiencing heavier ice cover than usual for this time of year, as the grand solar minimum fuels the rapid buildup of ice. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, ice cover was 2.6% on January 3rd, 2017. The agency reported 22% ice cover 1 year later. That is a difference of 10 times. More than 10 times if you do the math correctly. And that is a psychotic boom. Now, 5 things to know about Lake Erie's rapid ice coverage. Grand solar minimum, grand solar minimum, grand solar minimum, grand solar minimum, and grand solar minimum. China hit by second wave of snow after blizzards earlier in the week, leaving 11 dead and 2.5 million without power, and apparently the inability to clean ice off of their bangs. Heavy snow has killed 13 people. That's no laughing matter in East China's Anhui province since January 3rd. The provincial government announced on Friday the worst snowstorm since 2008 so far have affected 1.06 million people in the province, causing direct economic losses, which we're about to talk about. It will happen. Now, China fruit vegetable prices are surging as the blizzards have cut off roads and damaged crops. This is coming from Reuters. Beijing. Fruit and vegetable prices in major cities in central and northern China have surged after severe winter weather cut off highways and damaged crops, the government said late Saturday. Parts of highways connecting Henan, Shaanxi, Shandong, Anhui, and Jiangsu provinces were blocked. In northern Shaanxi province, greenhouses for vegetables collapsed under the weight of snow, footage on the state television showed on Sunday. More than 4,500 acres of fruit trees, tea farms, as well as greenhouses for vegetables have been damaged by freezing rains and snow, the Ministry of Agriculture said, adding that wheat planting could be delayed due to the cold weather. It goes on and on as we predicted. Severe thunderstorms, large hail, and at least one tornado hit France. They're totally fluxed. We're at KP0, and that means cosmic rays are at all-time highs in human history. We'll cover that in a different video. We simply don't have time, but a major storm dumping 4 inches of rain to hit the burned areas in the North Bay area will trigger flash floods and mudslides. That's a heads up if you live in this area. It's coming now, and it won't stop for 24 hours. We'll cover the mudslides tomorrow after they happen. Now, this is coming, an article someone sent me. Dozens of small earthquakes we covered on the Mount St. Helens area, according to the mainstream and the local geologists, are not related to magma. In fact, these earthquakes here in the caldera of Mount St. Helens, all in that circular area, the geologist says are not related to Mount St. Helens at all. We don't think it's related to Mount St. Helens because the pattern of earthquakes and the style of how they occur is very different, Moran said. This is a geologist that should be shot. Clearly, they do not want to alarm anyone, so they're just lying to you. I'll leave you links to this article. It's very telling. Seismic update. People in California are getting worried because a 4.5 west of Petrolia popped off today, as well as a 4.0 here, right near Southern California. Now, what this shows me is an uptick in seismic activity and increasing intensity. We're looking for a 5.0 or greater happening on the San Andreas in the near future based on the pattern. This is an interesting article about migrations happening in North America currently. Americans are ditching these 5 states in record numbers. Inbound states, Arizona, Idaho, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, where you make moonshine. Outbound states, where all the D-bags live. Red states, they're leaving. Blue states, they're moving to. Heads up. Grand solar minimum much. So people are moving out of the cold zone, clearly, and out of the death zone, clearly. That's what this article is saying. It's very interesting. Take a look at it, you guys. Heads up. Let's talk about spreading the community. One of our subscribers, my favorite commenter, Henrik Buitenhuis, from Denmark and the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. We're doing an experiment, a low light growing experiment that is currently underway as of today. We're using 88 total watts. We'll be discussing it. We have the plants right there for you to peruse. 2 strawberries, 1 banana pepper. These plants, in order to be vigorous and flowering like this, require a lot of light in nature. We're currently using 88 watts of light in the experiment. If you want to follow the experiment, what we need you to do is to subscribe to Henrik Buitenhuis's page, and we'll have regular updates on using 88 watts to grow high sun fruiting plants. So he's going to be covering the temperature and the humidity. And what we're using is, he's from Zealand, first of all. This is where the experiment is happening. And I'll leave you links to that. Helens, it's in Denmark, near Copenhagen. It's an island. There it is. Boom. Crazy guy. So you got to come over here. There'll be links below. Subscribe to Henrik's page and follow the experiment. Now, the experiment is using 2 Philips Economy tornadoes. These are 150 watt equivalents that only use 32 watts of energy, giving us 300 watts equivalent for 64 watts. And it's being accentuated for the light spectrum with 2 of these 12 watt equivalent to 75 incandescents. So 2 and 2 of each to give us a full spectrum of light. 88 total watts drawn for the equivalent of 3, 4, almost 500 grow watts. So this should be amazing. The technology is growing that we can do this and share it with you. And it's just a simple white box where the plants are sitting, all the way over in Copenhagen, in Zealand. Thanks, Henrik Buitenhuis, for running the experiment for the channel. And let's get you guys to subscribe there so you can watch the progress. All right? That's a heads up. And you too will then be describing how to make this little simple box where you can put 88 watts of energy and equivalent of 500 watts of grow power to grow your own food in a box. Before we go tonight, there's one other thing that's happening in our community. If you don't subscribe to Adapt 2030, you got to look him up and become a subscriber to his channel, as well as Ice Age Farmer. These are 2 important resources if you want to learn about prepping for the oncoming cold. And we have a new member to the group, the Radical Gardener. 21 subs. We need to get her to 100 tonight. She has a lot to say, and it's really good information, guys. We need a female perspective, and we have it. Boom. The Radical Gardener has joined the fray. So subscribe to her page. Do it. Do it now. And watch her first 4 videos. They're awesome. She's got a lot to say. She's from the Detroit area where Lake Erie is completely frozen over. And there are ice jams 10 times more than there were last year right over in this area. Boom. And so let's get her some subscribers over at her channel, The Radical Gardener. And she'll be giving us the female perspective on preparing. And she's right near Detroit, so it's in a large metropolitan area. And she's got a lot to say. So subscribe to The Radical Gardener and Henrik Buitenhuis. Oh, we lost him. Let's go back. Right here. For our low light growing experiment. And that's a heads up. Guys, I hope you got something out of the video. There's a lot going on. We're going to survive and thrive in the coming cold because we're a community. You just need to find like-minded people and get the word out. And with this record cold, now is the time to start discussing it. Be safe, everybody.